Welcome to CivilNet. My guest here in the studio is Nerses Ohanyan. He is an entrepreneur and co-founder of HyeTech, and also the perhaps brainchild behind #CreateTogether. Nerses, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I stumbled upon this initiative called #CreateTogether, and I went to the website, and there was a whole bunch of activities taking place, some of which I think were organized by other organizations, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. But now you're here in Armenia. You're from San Francisco,
yes.
In the United States. Please tell us what #CreateTogether is all about.
Well, #CreateTogether was a way for us to organize a few events ourselves and also piggyback on a few of the other more established events that are happening in Armenia. And to also use this as an impetus to invite a lot of our friends and colleagues and everybody else that we've told about Armenia, and also other Armenians who've been looking for a good chance to come, as a way to just all get together and come to Armenia at the same time, to also interact with entrepreneurs and technologists locally that we hope to collaborate with in the future.
It's a really innovative idea, huh? You see that there are a number of events going on, and you figure, okay, let's organize something. Just for our viewers, I mean, Digitech Expo 2015, it's now the 10th year that this expo has been going on. The Yerevan Half Marathon, we're all very excited about. First time that Armenia is having a half marathon. There are, I don't know, I was looking at the site, ideation and brainstorming. I'm assuming this is your creation. Casual fireside chats with entrepreneurs and industry leaders. Full day hackathon, which I want to ask you about. Because for non-techie people like myself, I'm still trying to figure out what a hackathon is.
Of course.
A day trip to Gyumri, and you're going to have a technology walk through Yerevan, and you're also going to be visiting CivilNet, which we're very happy about. Nerses, we've often talked about the fact that we are a global nation. We have probably very well positioned to take advantage of all of the tremendous brain power that we have, not only in Armenia, but throughout the world. Tell me, is that what makes this possible?
I believe so, yeah. I think what we found is that in order to take advantage of a network that exists, people actually have to know each other. And more importantly, they have to develop a certain amount of trust between each other. And the main way we can accomplish that is by putting them together physically. Whether that's through more official events and more formalized formats, fireside chats or speaker events or hackathons, but also we've put a lot of focus on is going out after those events and socializing with each other.
That's where the real work happens.
That's where the real work happens, exactly. So during the day we try to put a lot of questions forward, a lot of discussions forward, and hopefully the conclusions of those discussions will happen afterwards, when people are actually in the mood to really discuss what they can do. And we try to do that for several days and in several different formats. So the walking tour is one way to socialize, the evening outs and the Armenian winery, and all of those things are components towards that. And that's when we think that people will be able to actually collaborate and people will feel comfortable reaching out to each other.
And also to see the possibility.
Yeah, of course.
Because when you do go to the winery, or where you do go to places like that are just starting up, like the Impact Hub or Tumo, for those Armenians perhaps who have, you know, the visions of their own versions of what Armenia is, and when they come and they see and experience that, it's sometimes really earth-shattering for a lot of them, isn't it?
I think every time I come to Armenia, my image of Armenia changes, let alone somebody who hasn't spent time here at all. So absolutely, we want to put sort of real physical images in people's minds about what Armenia is and who they can talk to, who they can reach out to, where they can go. And we also wanted to make sure that people understand that it's not just one organization that you have to know. There's all of these different organizations and establishments that play a role, and we just wanted to sort of quickly introduce them to everybody to get that ball rolling.
Fantastic. You are, as we said, an entrepreneur. You are a co-founder of HyeTech, software developer, right? So you're very much plugged into the IT sector, the startups that are, you know, that we're seeing really blossoming in Armenia. What's your take on it? Do you see the possibility there as well?
I don't think it's about even talking about possibility anymore. It's we've seen examples of companies succeed out of Armenia, and I think it's more about saying how do we multiply that success. I hope that that's the image that other people have, that it's no longer a question of if, it's now a question of how many more.
And how much can they? How much bigger can they get?
I think quite honestly, size is not a limit. For Armenia, I've spent a few years working out of Singapore, for example, which is also a much more smaller nation state in some sense, much smaller than here physically. There's a lot of ways to grow. So as long as the ideas are there and the execution is there, size is not a limit, I don't think. And we're seeing over the last few years, we've seen the quality of ideas improve, the quantity of ideas improve. We've seen a lot more organizations take on the role of incubating and sort of helping some of these early stage ideas grow. And we've seen several companies, namely Pixar, come to the world stage, Shotmatic come to the world stage, and so we're seeing a lot of this happen over the last few years. And so now it's just a matter of how do we help those companies get really big, so that they can create their own ecosystems around themselves, which is where the hackathon actually comes in, because Pixar is actually hosting us, and this is again trying to get that ecosystem to go into the other companies.
So tell me what a
well.
hackathon is.
Hackathon is essentially a way for coders to come together and have fun. Really, is for a full day.
So it's not like hacking websites.
No, it's absolutely not hacking websites.
But you could technically do that if you chose to, obviously.
So most of us actually couldn't really. Being a developer is there's a wide spectrum of things you can be. So the idea of hacking something together is just about what can you build in a short amount of time. So it's really coming together and saying, okay, let's meet up, 5 of us, 20 of us, 100 of us. Let's come up with some ideas that we think are important or fun to solve, and let's spend the next 24 hours or 12 hours trying to come up with a small solution, something that works. It doesn't have to be complete, it doesn't have to be beautiful, it doesn't have to solve every problem. It just has to show that this problem can be solved. And so that's just a good way to try out 20 ideas, rather than you start with one idea, work on it for 3 months, and then you realize, it's not really there. So hackathon is a good way to sort of just code something through, get it launched, get it working within, let's say, a day, have somebody judge it, see where you're at, and then if you've, a lot of these things will eventually become companies. Most of it becomes absolutely
just an exercise.
Nothing. It's really exercise. It's a way for people to bond together. It's a good way for developers to get a feel for each other of how other people develop. So this was our way of saying, can we put developers from in Armenia and from outside of Armenia together on similar projects and have them code together, because that itself is a different way of getting to know each other. Now, it's not just for developers. We have designers who are joining the hackathon, and we have business people who join the hackathon, because it is about bringing technology together with the actual problem. So we have some folks coming in for energy-related issues. So you do want advice from non-technical people about what problems to tackle. We just try to tackle them with a technical solution.
It sounds really, really fascinating and interesting. I'd love to come and watch you guys while you're doing that for 12 hours.
I think it's going to be great. Yeah,
I could see a twinkle in your eyes when you were talking about it. Yes. So the perception.
A number of companies in Armenia have done hackathons already.
I know, I've heard of it, but I really didn't understand the details behind it. Nerses, we talk about ideas, we talk about the IT sector, we talk about networking, we talk about all of these things. You said something in your previous answer that I want to pick up on again. What can the diaspora do? What can individuals like yourselves, or organizations, or entrepreneurs who understand the startup market, who understand where IT is going these days, how can you support some of the really innovative, brilliant young people here who need that support, or do they need your support?
I think over the years I've come to change my opinion on this answer, and it's going to change as well, obviously. I think what we want to reframe the question isn't about support, it's about partnership. And that's really the way we want to look at
I didn't mean financial support.
No, but I think it's important to distinguish it, because it does change sort of the state of mind. Because clearly the people working here, especially the ones who are entering the entrepreneurship field, aren't the ones that are necessarily strapped for cash, or really looking for that kind of support. I think they really are looking for business partners, technology partners, whether partners to start a company with or partners as advisors. That's also a partnership. And so we see that as the bigger role. And I think to do that, people actually have to really know each other, and that's really what we're trying to do.
Create Together is about.
So we try to do two things. Yeah. So we try to bring entrepreneurs from the U.S. to Armenia for that exact purpose, for people to get to know each other, so that those partnerships can form. And also, when people do need something, they know the people in diaspora, so they can reach out to those people. And that's another issue. The diaspora can't really do much to support or to partner with people here if there is no two-way street. It's because people need to know how they can be supportive or what they can do. And so you do need the constant sort of requests coming in as well. But not everybody can come and visit. And that's also not realistic that every single person in the diaspora is going to come to Armenia. And so we are also trying to work on programs through HyeTech, is to bring entrepreneurs from Armenia to the US and actually have that cooperation begin there as well, because it does come down to getting to know each other.
Sure, and it's about creating the platforms, and I think this is such a great initiative for that. And just as a final question, talk to me about HyeTech. You just briefly mentioned it.
Yeah, I keep bringing it up because it's a networking group that we started a few years ago, and all we do is try to get people to meet each other, and that's really the primary goal of the networking group. And though it started in Silicon Valley to introduce Armenian entrepreneurs to each other, it's grown to Armenia, and we've over the last few years done a few networking events here and a few networking events in the US, specifically dedicated to visitors, and that's been really successful in plugging people into the network much more efficiently than doing several calls and setting up several meetings. You know, we kind of do it in one go. It will either do a barbecue or we'll do a chorovat, or we'll do a dinner, etc. So that's been really helpful in getting people connected, which has also helped us for Create Together, because one of the most amazing things that happened was, we wanted to do a tech tour, and immediately several organizations came forward and said, "Please come." So we wanted to get in touch with a few, Tumo or Impact Hub or any of these companies like Pixart, who we needed the space for Hackathon. They were all very forthcoming, because over the last few years we've all gotten to know each other personally, and that's really what it comes down to, is those personal connections.
Absolutely. Well, hashtag Create Together, bringing people together.
Yes.
With a common cause. It's a very simple sort of idea, yet can create a lot of amazing products, opportunities for Armenia and Armenians all over the world.
We hope so.
Thank you so much, Nerses. I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest was Nerses Ohanyan. He is an entrepreneur, co-founder of HyeTech, and one of the organizers behind a new initiative called hashtag Create Together. Keep following CivilNet.